documenting the front lines of the AI revolution, the AI Rebels podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the AI Rebels podcast. I'm your co-host, Jacob.
And I am your co-host, Spencer. Today we have Nim with us. Nim is a developer based out of Bali. He is working on a variety of things, but most recently, AI Agent.app and Studio.gold. Nim, go ahead and tell us a little about yourself. Tell us a little bit about how you got into AI Agent.app and AI in general.
Hello, I am guest Nim, working on AI Agent. That's my main driver right now. How I got into it, the early days of the AI agent stuff was like in the terminal. You could get it to do whatever you wanted, but it was like a terminal-based like interface, which wasn't that good. We thought if it was hard for us to use it, it's going to be hard for the rest of the population to have a go. So we kind of just try and took the terminal idea, put a nice UI in front of it, and just put it out just to see, right? Let other people mess around, have a go, and just one thing led to another. And now I'm working full time on building AI agents.
So AI Agent.app, was it based on a pre-existing agent framework, or was this something that you rolled yourself and built specifically for your project?
It stemmed from a baby AGI, if you know it. Sound dude. His name skips my brain right now, but great guy, great idea.
Yohei.
Put it into this. Yohei, yeah.
Sorry.
We've spoke a couple of times on Twitter. A sound dude, great idea, and that like sparked this idea. We can just get it to recursively talk to itself, and that thing stemmed a lot of AI agent software. It started there, then it quickly wasn't that scalable, and we found better ways to do certain parts, and we started like hodgepodging different ideas into the root baby AGI concept. Now it's a mix of a couple of things. We use LangChain. There's a agent framework called Crew AI, if you've heard of it. Like it basically simplifies this whole thing down to like 3 or 4 variables to get started, but you can get very complicated if you want. So we use that right now.
Yeah. Wow. And how large is the team?
It's just me right now. I say we just to be nice.
Well, it's you and your agents. It's you and your coworker agents.
Exactly. Me and my agents.
Yeah.
I have a co-founder called me just to give more color to that. But he's currently doing some freelance work. He's got a mortgage to pay. So he's trying to juggle like things, and that's just more safer for his mindset.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And honestly, I mean, I think that's what I was curious because we always like to ask, because we're seeing this incredible emergence of small, like highly leveraged human capital corporations.
Yeah.
Where it is just a small team. It's a one.
You should copyright that.
I know. I'm going to write that down right now. But this is exactly the trend we're seeing. AI agents with 1 to 5 humans really being able to do a lot.
AI has changed the game on that because it's so accessible to get information. You get stuck on things. If you just throw enough tokens at it and like have some sort of a light direction on what the solution could look like, anyone can solve any problem. Before you had to like trudge through so much crap, like other people's GitHub requests, issues to find some sort of answer. Whereas now you can just get AI to do all of that, which is like days of work saved.
It's so nice for debugging.
It's amazing.
Bugs that I used to do exactly what you were describing, dig through Reddit, dig through Stack Exchange. Instead of like a 3-hour process, it's now like 30 minutes, Hey, this is happening, try this, and then that doesn't work, try this, that didn't work, what do you think? And then it comes up with something, that we haven't tried and that works. It's great.
It's beautiful. It's very freeing because you don't get attached to the idea. Because if it doesn't work, you can, like exactly you said, try this, try that. Then one of the tries is going to work, and you've not lost a day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It really lowers the,
iteration.
The work required for iteration cost. Thank you. Yeah, iteration cost, especially for writing something like code, where it's like previously, if I write just a 100 line function for something, and then it doesn't work out, and I need to completely rethink my approach, that's now 100 lines I have to rewrite. Whereas now it's like, well, that didn't work. I do it instead, and it takes 30 seconds. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's wild.
Brilliant.
So Nim, with this AI Agents.app, obviously it has evolved quite a bit over time. What have been some of the biggest changes from when you started to what it is now?
To give us some context, I don't fully have product market fit. I'm still trying to figure it out. There is like inklings of like certain things that work. We make some revenue, but it's not a Spotify. It's not like OpenAI. We're still trying to get to the right thing. So to answer your question, what have I learned? I think at the very start, it was very general. It could do anything and everything. But the AI wasn't as good to give it such a broad question and say, go figure it out. So then there was a time where being niche, like targeting, say, SEO, content writing, or customer care, or whatever the hell, but being quite like guardrailed was good because you could just give it a lot of context. And I think it's swinging back to the models are getting much better now. You could give it a broad request. You may have seen like Manus, maybe. It's like I think I'm not saying that written name wrong, but it was like an agentic software that came out. You give it like a high level task, it would open up browsers, create folders, files, run terminals. I think it's Manus, right? Something like that. So that in itself,
I just looked it up.
It's Manus? Am I saying right?
Yeah.
That. So that's going back to just general again. You give it like a high level task, like go get me all of the SVG logos of universities. I did that task like yesterday. Like I raced it. Like I had to go on Wikipedia, download whatever, where I gave it the same task and it just went off and did it in about 15 minutes, which is really impressive. So what have I learned is I think general was good. General was bad to start with. Then niche became good because the AI models wasn't that good. But the AI models are getting good enough, general is back in.
So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. One thing about AI agents, I've always long been interested in them. Like I ran baby AGI when he released it on Twitter. I've messaged him like 3 times trying to get him on the podcast. This is another plug. Yohei, if you haven't heard this, come on our podcast. But one thing about AI agents that I've been a little bit pessimistic about and skeptical about is that I think that they're going to require like a lot of supervisory architecture and really thorough evals to be truly effective. And I'd be curious to hear from your perspective if you think that is true or if you think that that has now shifted a little bit with how capable the models are now.
I think you're right. It depends. Rails is never bad. I would look at agents as you look at other humans, right? You hire an intern. They probably need much more guidance to like not mess up. Am I allowed to swear? This is a swearing podcast or not?
Go for it.
Yeah, you're good.
Don't fuck up, right? You tell them don't do this, don't press that button. You can stick to these like within the confines of these rules. But like over time, you maybe hire a senior or a principal, whoever, and you don't have to trust them that much because they've done it 100 times. I say all of that to say, currently it's all very broad. So maybe over time you have these agents that know how you work or how you like your script to be written or CX to be taken care of. So by the 1,000th time it's doing it, it's very little guardrails needed.
Yeah.
That's my answer. What do you think on that? Do you think there's merit there or what's your thoughts?
No, I think so, because I do think that inevitably the end result is a broadly effective agent, right? Because when you think about it, it's like, the training for these agents just requires a slightly different type of data than what they have right now, right? Whereas now it's a lot of unstructured text. They need more examples of agentic actions taken. And so I would imagine that, by GPT-5, probably that is a pretty broadly effective agent on its own. I'm spitballing here. I don't have any inside information. I'm not, I don't want to mislead people here, but that's kind of how I viewed it. And I've done a lot of playing with AI agents recently as well. And a lot of my past pessimism has been replaced with optimism.
I think there's a concept of like memory. Like I think agents and humans, it's just different names. I think the mental model is exactly the same as humans. If you do something 100 times, you'll get better at it to not mess up doing that thing. I think that's the same principle with agents.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think this is a powerful principle overarching all of AI. I think this idea that it's terrifying, but also encouraging, that AI is not that different from humans, which makes sense.
Mm.
It's trained on the output of human minds from the beginning of time, right? So it would be strange if it were this completely foreign entity and we didn't understand it. Like once you get into it and you start working with AI, it truly is not that different from working with another human. You need to give it,
Honestly,
yeah,
yeah.
you need to give it outlines, you need to give it clear instructions. And then I think you're right, particularly agents, it'll be interesting to see how this trend emerges. If it truly is someone builds an agent that just has done this task 100 times and it's proven, and people pay a premium to use this agent because it has done specific tasks so many times that it's built up this memory. I think that could be a trend that emerges. I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see what this looks like.
That's what I'm going after currently. Like the give people the tools to build agents. They can create their own agent, give it like the backstory, what they can do, assign tasks, and give it tools. But that's quite
Yeah.
shallow, right? It's quite disposable. What I'm currently doing is that memory idea where it knows what your last request was and if you were happy with the outcome. And if not, what did you change? What was the next request? Like from a business point, it becomes quite sticky, right? Because you're training your own agents to be
Yeah.
perfectly aligned to what you want. And I think that's quite good.
Yeah. And it gets better and better as you use it. So then the opportunity cost of leaving becomes higher and
Exactly.
higher. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes total sense. Interesting. So what, as you've told people, friends, family, that you're working on AI agents, what have been have you had any funny experiences with misconceptions, people asking funny questions or misunderstandings? What has it been like as you've delved into the world of AI agents?
Quite interesting because I think there's two very polar opposite divides. Like most of my friends back home or like my family and stuff, they don't really care. They don't really understand it. They hear the news or whatever it is, and it's like doom stuff, right? You're gonna lose your job next
Yeah.
week. AI's gonna take it.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Are you trying to replace us and stuff?" So there's
They're
nothing
like
there.
mad at you. Yeah.
You're like, yes, actually.
Yes, with dumb questions like that, you're easier than you think to be replaced. No. On the other side, like all my friends here in Bali, they're all just like big mega nerds building their own startup. So AI is just so like integrated into their everyday life. It's common, as in we don't even see it as like it's a tool, right? We don't talk about our laptops anymore because it just works. We do share like good like prompts or good methods of getting the most out of the AI. But no, not really funny stuff. How about you guys? Like, what's you guys? I feel like got a bit of an inside track, but you have like normal friends. What do they think of what you do?
Honestly, I think that a lot of people are still just not familiar with it. It's anecdotally, my experience kind of matches up with the statistics of, only about a third of people have heard of AI. But I will say, out of my friends, and family who have heard of AI, most of them are optimistic and excited about it. I mean, in terms of my family, like we're all kind of techie people. Like both my brothers are working at AI startups. I'm doing this, but then I see a lot of optimism for example, my brother-in-law. He has a creative agency for YouTube creators and things like that, right? So matches them up with brand deals. They also do video editing, thumbnail creation, things like that, right? And he said that they have almost completely automated their cold emailing with
Wow.
AI personas. They have a little AI persona on LinkedIn that nobody realizes is not a real person. It's just like, they went to like thispersonisnotreal.com or whatever it was, and like generated a picture of like a generic professional looking woman. And she does all their cold outreach and she does great.
Crushes it.
So it's interesting to see it start sneaking in here and there. And also, I think that anecdotally, I watch a lot of TikTok and things like that to keep up to date with, what's going on culturally. And anecdotally, I'm also seeing a lot more acceptance of it there. I think both as the tools get better and as people get better at using the tools, there will be more and more acceptance because, to be honest, artistically, up until recently, most of the people posting a bunch of AI art were kind of from the crypto space and, they weren't they don't necessarily have the best taste.
Yeah.
I hate to say it that way, but that's the truth. And I'm
Love
starting to
them,
see
but
more,
yeah.
yeah, and like I start to see more and more people with more mainstream and better taste start experimenting with these tools. For example, there's this guy on TikTok, Sante Luca, who does these ridiculous satires of like the hustle, the hustle grind fest bro propaganda you see on TikTok, where it's like, I wake up at 6 a.m. Right. But it's all ridiculous AI generated art. He's like, I wake up every morning, I spar with Mike Tyson, and it's like, AI generated Mike Tyson and a dude beating up on each other. Right. Anyways, it's just really exciting to start to see real art form around these tools. Jake, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say, I'm continually amazed in my relationships how when you're in it, when you're in AI and you're talking about it every day, you assume people are at least aware of AI and its capabilities. And I'm continually amazed when I'm talking to a family or a friend and they're like, "Oh, I just used ChatGPT for the first time last week." You just used ChatGPT like for the first time?
It's so cute.
Yeah, yeah. And it happens all the time. And I think as this changes, this is where, I think AI Agents.app is a good example where you saw this terminal approach to agents and you said, this is not usable for most people. Let me adapt this and make it approachable and usable for people. And I think this trend is going to continually be happening in AI, where once it's just like AI agents, like it's a very sticky thing once you integrate it into your life, because all of a sudden you get all this time back because now you don't have to go do the research yourself. You can just verify the research AI does for you, and then you can do the more complicated work of analyzing that research. Or that's just an example, but all these things in your life, once you integrate it, there's no going back. Why would you go back and lose time from your life when you know you can do more? So I just think I'm continually amazed in my relationships how early it still is, because it seems in my world it's everywhere, but it's not that way for most people. And I think it's important for us who are in AI to remember that and continue to try to do as you're doing and make it accessible and approachable and very sticky so that people, when they use it, they want to keep using it.
Very true. One thing I just wonder why. Like, why hasn't, there's a clear, like, making these numbers up, but like a 50-50 people that are so behind AI, and the other is not fazed by it. It's not like they're not aware of it, because it's everywhere. Like, it's in the news. Like, I think it's nearly a household name, ChatGPT, but what's the lack of motivation to, like, play around with it? I'm not sure. Like, I don't know.
I think there's a couple things. I think one is there's still a shocking number of people who kind of assume that what AI is doing right now, computers have been able to do for years. Like a really common thing that I see on TikTok and Twitter is like, someone posts like a video that's, CGI from like 2014, and everyone's like, it's AI. And it's like, you guys have a weird vision. I even saw someone arguing like that, like, oh no, like AI could do this in 2014. Like,
Yeah.
AI couldn't do this 6 months ago. And so I think that people are not really, and so that leads to my second point, is I think that people are not really familiar with technologies that develop this fast. I think there's another cohort of people who, they tried out ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo when it came out in, November of 2022 or whatever it was, right? And they haven't tried anything since then. And so they don't know how fast it's improved and how much better it is. Like, people only recently got over like the whole, like, I can't draw hands thing, it takes a while for people to update their understandings of the world at a social scale.
Maybe they're not seeing the benefits. Like,
and that too.
Like, whereas you guys and I are seeing actual value getting out from it, like on a daily basis, maybe they just don't. It doesn't serve a purpose for them today. Interesting.
Yeah. And I think that's spot on, Nim, because I think this is the same, like the colloquial early adopters, whatever those are, early adopters, and then the main group adopts it, and then the late adopters, this whole trend. I think until people tangibly see in their lives the value, they're not going to do it. I also think it's just human nature to change. I think a great example is coming in new to a company, right? You come in, someone shows you a process that they perform. And oftentimes when you start asking, why do we do that? Why do we do it this way? Oftentimes the answer is because this is what we do. This is the way it's always been done.
So unsatisfying.
Yeah. And I think that mindset is also in our daily lives. Like we wake up, you have breakfast, you do these things, and it just doesn't even cross your mind until you've changed to use AI. Let me go to ChatGPT for this. Like I think so many people, particularly older generations where they're not exposed to it constantly on TikTok and these things, I think it's going to take a while for it to even enter their head.
Sorry to cut you off, Jacob. It's to add to the psychology part of it. We did some user interviews at the very early days of AI Agent.app, and majority was like business users, and there was a recurring pattern, which was in some ways they were motivated by fear. It's like, okay, they've got competitors left and right. How can I have the advantage? So if I can leverage AI to get 10% better or do this faster. And to pull this back to the earlier question was, maybe there's more to lose here, right? If they get shit at business, or if someone does it better than them, faster than them, they lose out money, like livelihood. Whereas maybe that's a good enough incentive to just get behind AI and learn. Maybe we all are in some degree influenced by that, right? How can we be the best version with the tools we have, rather than just let it go by?
Yeah, I think that's accurate, because I mean, you look at the industries that it's being adopted most quickly in, and it's the industries that are most prone to what you're describing. Right? Coding world, where the getting your app out faster really matters, or the auditing world that Jake came from. Once again, it's a case where if your team is a lot faster, you're more likely to be hired. I'm assuming so, anyways.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Or expensive fields like lawyers.
Yeah,
highly competitive
like
spaces.
Yeah, that's it. That's an interesting insight. I haven't heard anyone mention that before.
Yeah. No, I think that's spot on. I'm curious, Nim, have you had any experiences with agents being built with AI Agents.app that have performed an action that they should not have, whatever that is, and people try to hold you responsible as the platform?
I can happily say no. There hasn't been.
Do you
any
think that
action.
will happen? Like just in the space
I
in
think
general?
That's an interesting question. I think that's an interesting question. It's like, if you would abstract it away, does the shopkeeper who sold you the gun go to jail for you shooting someone?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a good analogy. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think
use an internet analogy. Most countries protect platforms from being prosecuted for what users say on there, right? At least to some level, depending on the jurisdiction, I'm sure. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, kind of where the legal consensus lands there. To me, it seems like, if I went on to AI Agent.app and I made like an AI agent that was, I don't know, dedicated to making like, something heinous, like this is a revenge porn bot. I'm sure that you probably don't enable that, but like, just to use a really egregious example. It does seem like obviously it's an interesting legal question. Like, where does the responsibility lie? Because obviously the user is primarily at fault, but technically you're providing a platform.
I mean, coming back to what you said, Nim, does the person who sells the gun, are they liable for unlawful actions taken with the weapon that they sold? And I think this is a good analogy because I think similar regulations will be put in place where, assuming everything is lawful, assuming that the gun salesman, checked for ID and did all of these things and followed whatever those steps are, then I don't think they should be held responsible because they did their part and then it's no longer their duty. But in your example, Spencer, it's like, well, should certain guardrails be put up? And if the platform sidesteps those, then maybe they should be held responsible. But it's going to be so messy and I have no idea how it will be enforced. It's going to be crazy.
To just add to that really quickly, I think one of the benefits is like I'm standing on shoulders of giants like OpenAI,
Yeah.
Anthropics, Google. Like they've got much more to lose if they mess up.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
They've
They
taken
have a lot of exposure.
insane amount of exposure. So if Spencer wants to go make a pawn bot, and if somehow it gets through, it's on them.
Yeah, you can be like, go
Hey,
have
don't
at 'em.
ask me. Go talk to Sam Altman.
Exactly.
But interesting question.
Here's one for you guys.
Yeah.
Pretend someone is able to deploy a totally autonomous AI agent to, a server somewhere. And after that, hands off, they don't have anything to do with the agent. The only thing they did is they pressed the button to deploy the agent. Now the agent lives on its own. It has some method for maintaining its server costs, right? Whatever that is, right? We'll just, pretend that exists. Pretend this agent then, goes and, performs some illegal action. Who do you hold responsible there? Do you still hold the original developer responsible? Do you hold whoever owns the server responsible? Like, do you throw the AI into, AI prison, trap it in one of those Cloudflare AI labyrinths that they've been talking about?
Throw it on a hard drive and send it to space.
Yeah.
Something.
I don't know.
Man.
Jacob, what do you think?
Yeah. First, I think it's insane that this is a conversation we're having. It's like, what if someone creates a sentient being? Like, if we were to take it extreme, if someone were to create a cyborg, totally sentient, right? And then they just set that cyborg loose, and that cyborg slowly devolved into all it does is rob banks and hold people hostage. Is that inventor liable because there was a bug in the cyborg's code? It was supposed to be a bank teller, but instead it's robbing banks, and there's this bug. I know this is getting insane, but the
now
thought
that you said it
experiment,
like that, actually, to jump in, I do think it is the developer that is at fault. Okay, autonomous agent, it's not fully autonomous. The root, it started somewhere, right? And it's the ideas that you would have put in or the developer would have put in. So I think that person would be liable.
Yeah.
I want to make another point here real quick, which is, Jake, you were saying like it's insane that we're talking about this at all. And it is, but also at the same time, if you think about it, we've been talking about this concept for a long time.
Yeah.
Go read Frankenstein,
Yeah.
right? Like this is exactly, we are literally discussing like the exact moral quandary at the center of that book, right? And so this is part of what gives me optimism for the future when it comes to AI and humanity's ability to adapt to it. Is like, we've been telling ourselves stories about this for years already. We have already some cognitive and social tools for discussing these topics. We just need to kind of re-leverage them into a new area.
Yeah, totally agree. I kind of want to go back to something you mentioned, Nim, about your family who's not really in the AI space and seeing things in the news, because I think I have a similar experience with a lot of my family and friends. But what do you tell people when they voice this fear that AI, particularly, I think it's become even more pronounced with AI agents, this idea that AI is going to take jobs? Because AI agents are so tangible, you can watch it perform a task on your computer, and it's very easy to see, okay, this is going to replace these jobs. What do you tell people to help their fears?
I say Skillshare.com. No.
I like it.
No,
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. Like, I think I honestly don't have a clean answer here, but essentially, you want to skill up in some way that you can't be automated out tomorrow. But that's not really comforting. That's what I think in my head, right? The thing I would say is probably don't worry, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But what would you say? I actually honestly don't have an answer to that. What would you say, Jacob?
I know it's hard. I like your, it'll be fine, because I think it will be.
Yeah.
I truly think it will work itself out. We have adapted to so many fundamental shifts in technology and society over the millennia of time that I think we're going to be fine. We are extremely adaptable, and we can do it.
I think also another important thing to do when talking to people about AI is acknowledging their concerns, right? Because there are obviously legitimate concerns with AI. Like it wouldn't be exciting if it if there weren't, right, it wouldn't be transformative. And so I think that acknowledging their concerns goes a long way, because then it's like, yeah, like that is a problem. Here's what people are doing. Like, for example, like, the energy usage issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a problem to be solved, but the good news is that like the people developing these models are incredibly heavily incentivized to solve it, right? If any of them can unlock like a significant energy performance gain, like that's billions of dollars unlocked for them, trillions of dollars unlocked for them overnight. And then the second point I like to make as well, going to what Jake was saying, is like, yeah, we've endured a lot of fundamental shifts in society before. Like, it's going to be bumpy in parts, but in the end, this is progress. This is what progress looks like. Progress is rarely, if ever, clean. It's always messy. It's always hard to do, but you have to do it because stagnation means death.
Exactly.
That was so well put. I wish I said that.
So you can say it now.
We'll shift that over to you. Yeah, we'll change his voice. Have you say it.
Run it through 11 laps. Here, let's quickly mouth it out.
Yeah,
we'll overlay the video. Perfect.
Yeah. Oh man, I just feel like this is the Wild West. There's so many things that are going to shift and change.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
What's been like the most interesting? You talk about AI for 60 episodes and you live it outside. What's been the most interesting thing you've came across? It could be like, that's such an obvious answer, obvious solution, or that I would have never thought of that, or something that's like you think about.
Julius AI. I'm super impressed with what they're doing over there. If you're not familiar with it, it's an AI data analysis platform. Really, really well done. And they're an incredible example of what Jake was talking about earlier, of like they're like what was it, like a 5-person team, Jake? I can't remember what Rahul said, but something like that. Tiny team, and already doing, like 500,000 in monthly revenue, something like that. Like just, maybe it wasn't monthly, maybe it was annual. I don't remember exactly. Point being,
500,000 users.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was. 500,000 users. Thank you.
Very good.
And that really stuck out to me as like kind of a bellwether of where all startups are headed, right? Like this is how startups are going to run in the future. It's going to be a team of, a small team of under 10 people probably for the first year or two of its growth, and they're only going to start bringing people on when they need more people for the purpose of interfacing with the public, basically. And it's gonna. I'm just fascinated to see who else can replicate their success.
Totally. Yeah, they're a great example of what is possible for sure. I think something. I know I mentioned this earlier, but we had a professor on. His name is Professor David Wood, and we asked him. We've been talking a lot about how is AI changing the education landscape? Are teachers basically just grading ChatGPT now because all the papers are authored by ChatGPT at this point? What does this look like? How does this work? How are professors, particularly at the collegiate level, really grappling with this? I think when we asked him, his answer summarized a lot of this approach, that the strategies we use to live a successful life are the same strategies we use to work with and integrate successfully with AI. Because he basically just said, yeah, I tell my students to use AI, and then the bar for my assignments now has gone up, because I assume if you don't run it through AI, what are you doing? Why would you not? And then he said, also some of the nature of my assignments have changed. Some of the things that I know they need to know as a person, maybe it's more of like a live vocal exam, right? Where you have to give a presentation on these things that you need to know yourself. But then if you're writing a paper, yeah, you better run it through ChatGPT. If you're writing code for an assignment, he said, my assignments have all kind of escalated, where before we just didn't have the time to get certain things to a certain level. He said, but now I can take them through the full life cycle of things because they're using AI. I don't know. So I think just speaking with him has been a theme we've seen, where using AI doesn't need to be, and it shouldn't be these completely new and earth-shattering strategies. And I think that grounds us when we approach AI.
Yeah, and kind of riffing off of that, I think that we're going to see a shift in education back towards handwriting. And this is kind of off the wall, but reason being, so first, there's all the scientific evidence about handwriting, writing out something by hand, secures it in your memory better than typing it on a computer, etc. And
Right.
also, it's an easy hack around people using AI, right? They could still use ChatGPT, but they're going to have to copy it down by hand. And so either way, it's you're forcing the student to engage in the act of learning. And so I think that we'll see kind of, the equivalent of that play out across a lot of educational domains of reinvesting into, by necessity, reinvesting into very, very, very fundamental skills, because that's what unlocks, more capable use of the higher level tools.
It's the same idea when everything's mass produced, the craft produced item is of much higher value. I think there's probably some sort of link there to the handwriting. And I think to quickly say to the small teams, I think that's really good. That means it'll take you maybe 2 people, like you and your best mate, to spin up a business and just have have multiple goals at figuring something out. I think that's brilliant. The education, I would have never thought of it like that. He's just that professor has just made it harder for them to cheat. But by also raising the bar, is gave the kids that want to learn. It's now go build an app. The kids, he might have taught level 1 and level 2, but they still have to go figure out, okay, I need a database. And it gives them a ceiling, a headroom to learn new things on their own. And ultimately, that's what you're trying to teach in school, right? The skill of learning.
Motivate people to learn more.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And I think that's the trend we need to see across the board. I think he's a great example, but I think every single industry, the answer is not to just run away from AI. The answer is, how do we adapt? It's not going anywhere. What do we need to change so that we use it in the proper way to further yourself and humankind? Because I think it is a real fear that a lot of people will start to use AI as a massive crutch because it's so easy to do and stop thinking.
Another one of our guests that really stood out to me, and this is slightly tangential, but I'll connect it in, don't worry, his name is Bryce Judy. And we brought him on, the first time we brought him on, he was developing a product for developing language sets for under-resourced languages, particularly, I don't remember the exact language right now. It was a indigenous language in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, right? And so he gets it all ready to launch. He's trying to sell it to people. And then as soon as he's trying to sell it to people, Google announces that they have added 10,000 new languages or something to Google Translate. And, all of the languages that he was trying to target were included. He's like, oh, well, that sucks. And so within a matter of, I don't know, probably 6 months, maybe less, he completely pivoted and started a new product targeting, it's called TerraFlow, I think it was, using AI to calculate tariff duties. And this is another, I bring this up because it's another great example of what AI is able to do for people, which is his whole idea based around AI got blown up by AI, and he turned around and came up with a new idea, executed it with AI, and now he has funding and employees, right? It's amazing what leverage these tools give people who are highly motivated and willing to try difficult, weird things.
Especially just quickly jump on that. I think the key thing was the highly motivated part, because if it took him 6 months and there was no way for him to get back to that spot, and it would take him 3 years, that's going to take a much harder hit. Whereas he knew the tools and he could get back to something viable.
Yeah, exactly.
In a month or 2.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I love that. If you upskill yourself in AI, it's applicable where no matter what happens, you can still use those to shift.
Yeah, and to that point, people constantly I see this all the time, oh, no point learning coding now, no point learning how to write now, no point learning how to draw now. It's that's all a lie. Learning all of these things is now even higher leverage than before. If you are a really good artist, you're going to be able to use use image generation a lot more effectively than somebody who is not a good artist, because what looks good, what to prompt for, you know what to look for, etc.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes for, code generation tools, right? Like it's applicable everywhere. Like reinvest. If I could give advice to anybody listening to this episode, like reinvest yourself into fundamental skills. Don't think that AI removes the value of them.
It's an amplifier.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We say that all the time.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
not.
It's an amplifier.
It doesn't replace. It amplifies what you have. If you're not an artist, it's not gonna make you an artist unless you are motivated and you have it coach you through it. Spencer mentioned Bryce, who had to pivot, and obviously AI agents is a huge space, but there are some big players in the space. Are you nervous of AI Agents.app being hit by ChatGPT coming out with an agent platform? These big players, is that a worry?
A constant worry. I lose sleep over this. No, not to that extent, but of course it's a worry. Everyone wants, it's the natural path forward. So anyone with any sense is looking in this direction, which is not that good if you're already here. But I also think it's
back
like,
off.
but you can't, right? How am I going to say back off to OpenAI? I'm a small,
I was here
tiny
first.
bot.
But
I also do think it's that idea, when the tides rise, all boats rise with it. So if they're doing such good work and they're sharing their learnings, that's like $1 billion worth of research I'm getting for free.
Yeah,
so
right.
I
How do you distinguish
pros and
yourself?
cons.
Like, do you have any ideas of how to remain relevant?
Yeah, I think I have to just go talk to businesses. There's a bunch of businesses that are already in the database that have used it. My strategy for the next 2-3 months is go in and I mentioned earlier about like the memory or building up knowledge to your agent. I think there's something there. And it goes after that Spotify model, become sticky. Do you have any ideas? Actually, what are your thoughts?
No, I think what you said is important, is because OpenAI can provide a platform, but they don't have what you said, that personalization. So I think that bridge of that expertise that you could bring seems like that would remain relevant, as if you provide that.
Also, as these larger providers start launching their own tools, it grows the size of the pie, where, once people are aware that these capabilities are possible, some of them are going to be looking for alternative options, whether it's in capabilities, pricing options, etc. Right. And so I think that what I'm hopeful for platforms like yours is that growing the size of the pie, maybe you don't necessarily need to grow the size of your slice as much, just because there's more to go around.
Yeah,
it'll be really
that.
Interesting to see how the economics of the space work out.
I'm excited. Maybe I'll come back to do this podcast in a year's time.
Yes,
where
we would love that.
Who's OpenAI? It's AI Agent.app.
AI Agents.app is the big
It's
name.
nim.ai.
I love that.
So as we're wrapping up here, if you had to give advice to someone who's looking to get started in this space, building a business, or whether they're just looking to start using these tools, what advice would you give them?
You just have to just do it. Pick something that you care about and just go at it. It has to have a finish. Set some sort of goal. Every business I've started, the objective was to make some money. And I make some money. I had a clothing brand. I made some money. I was like, this is not a viable business. I don't like brick and mortar. Bin. Before that, I was a photographer, videographer, a musician even, right? And I was like, I aim for one goal. I set myself a goal of make some money to see if this is a viable idea. If nothing, I learn via the path to that. To summarize, I've waffled on a little bit. The advice would be to just do something to a point where you're happy with all right, I did this.
Yeah.
There's no point you starting a project and binning it 2 weeks later and you've got nothing to show for it. It has to have a finish in some way. Enough so you can put it on your LinkedIn profile. That's the metric I'd go for.
I like that. No, I love this idea of putting a finish, because we often hear the advice of just start, do something, pick something, get going. But I think that idea of having a specific goal is crucial. One, because it's not easy still. It's not easy to build a business with AI. People are like, now you can just do it. No, No, it's still very hard. And I think this idea of having a specific goal is very motivating and allows you to measure your success. So I echo what Nim
To
is
add a little
saying.
bit of color
That's
there,
good advice.
because I used to start a lot of things, but if you start 100 things but you finish nothing, you've done nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not very satisfying as for yourself. You've done nothing for the last 2 years. Whereas you might have finished 10 unsuccessful projects. That's still quite nice.
Right.
That's it. What advice do you have for me, guys? Spencer?
Keep going.
Yeah.
Love it. Jacob?
Honestly, I think that is big advice in the AI space. Those that are motivated to keep going will naturally evolve and survive, and I think find success.
I think it's a war of attrition. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, if people are wanting to follow you, follow what you're up to, your progress, what's the best place to do that? Obviously, we'll put AI Agent.app. We'll put that in the description of the video. What about socials, LinkedIn?
Twitter. At supnim. SUP_NIM. That's where I'll be.
Perfect. Excellent. We'll drop that as well.
Thank you so
Nim,
much.
we definitely want to stay in contact, so we'll see where you're at, over the next year. I'm very excited to see what happens for you.
Thank you. Great chat, boys. Look forward to chatting again soon.
Thank you.
For coming on.